Hello, and welcome to our podcast, 1 Timothy, Verse by Verse, brought to you by Telios. This captivating podcast will detail each verse of 1 Timothy, providing guidance on church leadership, sound doctrine, and godly living. It lays a foundation for ordaining elders and provides practical advice for church governance. Thanks for joining us on this exciting biblical journey.
Hi, I'm William Stewart. Welcome back to our verse by verse study on the book of 1 Timothy. We're in chapter 3, great chapter. This is covering the qualities of an elder and a deacon. The first 7 verses cover the quality of an elder, and as this is important because in the instructions to the church, in the apostolic letters, as I always say, from the book of Romans to Revelation 3, where we get our marching orders, what we obey as Christians, here and in Titus 1 is where we get these instructions for elders, and they're important because they lead the church. The New Testament doesn't give a lot of instruction and detail on church structure, the governance, which is wonderful because it allows church structure to fit in different cultures at different times, so the church can form themselves the most efficaciously spread the gospel and teach God's word. So elders and deacons are the two leadership positions that are clearly prescribed in the New Testament. We're in the middle. We're going to do verses 3 to 5 today, again in the middle of talking about the qualities of an elder. The King James says, the elder should be not given to wine. This word is interesting. It's paraikos, otherwise in the original Greek, otherwise standing next to the wine. So you can imagine a person standing next to that bottle, taking of it, maybe being dependent on it. It doesn't say not to drink the wine. We know we're not supposed to get drunk, but wine was common back then. It was probably safer to drink than water, and it was probably just really it was really part of the culture, much like in Europe today. And but you're not to be dependent on it or be known for it in a sense. Not to be a striker, otherwise a violent person, not greedy, interesting word, shameful gain in the original Greek, iskokirti, but patient. But the word here probably means a little bit more kind, might be a better translation, gentle, in terms of its definition. There are usually a couple other words, upomune and makthea, that are used for patient. The dictionary says suitable, fair, mild, gentle for this word, epikis in the original Greek. Not a brawler, aphilogorgos, otherwise not desirous or not loving silver. Verse 4, one that ruleth all his own household, having his children in subjection with all gravity. Otherwise, here ruling is proistemi in the original Greek, standing before. And the word in the original Greek for subjection really means ordered under. So a elder should rule his own household well, and the reason is, verse 5, for if a man doesn't know how to rule, otherwise this same word proistemi in the Greek, stand before, physically out in front, his own house, how can he take care of the church of God? So really leadership starts at home, makes a very good point. So what have we learned today? That a elder should not be given to wine or doesn't love money or where it controls him, rules his life, shouldn't be violent. I would say it's interesting that the violence here is mentioned twice, and I made this point before, is that the people who believed out of the Roman and Greek culture came out of a very secular, non-Christian society, and violence was much more prevalent, I believe, certainly in wars and probably maybe even on the street level. So the distance they had to gain from a non-believer to being a quality person for an elder, it was probably further than most people do today, where we have grown up, at least in many countries, in a very genteel environment where violence is not typically something you would have to evaluate for an elder and somebody who's been in the church. So it probably teaches us something about that society. But, it's still something for which we should evaluate in person, how they respond to situations and anger and such. They're supposed to rule their own household well in an orderly fashion with their children obeying them. Okay, good points all. Thank you for joining me today. We'll wrap up this section next time on the elders and move to deacons, and then come back to elders after that. Hope these videos are useful to you. It's my privilege to bring them to you. Goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast, 1 Timothy, Verse by Verse. We hope you found the teachings both interesting and informative. Join us next week for another exciting episode. To listen to all episodes, please visit our website at teliosresearch.com.